We have a lot to talk about when it comes to what the heck is happening in Texas during our 89th legislative session. Okay, a lot to talk about. So let's get into the video. My name is Sydney. I'm one of the co-founders of Restart CBD and THC. We are a Texas-based cannabis business. I own the business along with my sisters, our mom, and we've been in business for almost 7 years. So we've been dealing with a lot of this for pretty much the entire time that we've been in business. Now, this is a really, really big year for Texas hemp. A lot of business owners, a lot of consumers, and it's been in the news a lot from what I've gathered. In years past, we've obviously had other legislative sessions. We haven't really made a lot of movement as far as an industry goes, but this one has been the most prevalent because of the bills proposed, because of the want for certain individuals in our Congress to ban pretty much everything. So what we're gonna go over today is specifically HB28, where we're at as far as what's been the movement up until April 25th of 2025, along with SB3. Now, if you go back to an earlier video, my older sister Shada goes into really a deep dive of what's happening during this session. I'm gonna do my best to keep you guys updated, okay? If I'm being super, super honest, Shada is much better at this. Shada has a lot of experience. She's the VP of the Texas Hemp Coalition. She was the president last year. She's been advocating on the front lines for years and knows her ins and outs. Now, you may ask, why is Shada not doing this video? Shada's on maternity leave. She had a beautiful baby boy, my first nephew, and so she's taking some time off, so I am stepping in to fill in. So please be kind to me, okay? I would appreciate that very, very much. And I'm gonna give you all that I know, all the insights, because I have been sitting in on these Texas Hemp Coalition meetings. I have also been to the Capitol myself recently for the session, and so I feel like I have at least a grasp on what is going on. And spoiler alert, I think we're gonna be okay. So let's get into the video. HB28. Now I am gonna be using some bullet point notes because it's just a lot to remember and I wanna make sure I give you guys all the appropriate information, so bear with me. But HB28 was introduced on March 14th, 2025. HB28 was referred to the House State Affairs Committee, where it was considered in a public hearing on April 7th of this year, so not that long ago. As of April 7th, the bill remains pending. So right now, nothing's happened. No one's voted on HB28. Some key provisions to this bill, essentially, first and foremost, is regulatory oversight. This would transfer the regulation of consumable hemp products to the Texas Department of State Health Services, aka DSHS, DSHS is what we call it in the industry, in coordination with the Texas Alcoholic Beverage Commission. This is a very key one because this bill, HB28, the more you read into it, the more you know, it's really leaning on the side of beverages and alcohol companies and not really benefiting companies like ours who offer a huge array of products like gummies, smokables, topicals even, and other cannabinoids. So some other updates that it's proposing are license requirements. So it's going to increase the licensing from, I think right now, about $250 a year, upwards of $5,000 per year for you to get a license and be able to sell on the market, just like Restart's doing. So licensing requirement mandates licensing for manufacturers and retailers of consumable hemp products with fees set at $5,000 for initial licensing and $2,500 for renewals. For an example, since we've been in the business, rather than paying $250 a year and having our licenses squared away, our yearly annual fee would increase to $2,500, which honestly, part of me does like this in the bill because it allows for more of established businesses, more people that are taking this seriously to once you go through the process versus just someone, let's just say a random gas station in a sketchy part of town, $250. No problem to do that. So I think increasing an annual membership fee or an annual cost for licensing is not a bad idea. What I maybe would tweak it if I was personally able to like write this bill with them is I would maybe tweak it, stay on like the $2,500 side and not make it over that, because if you look at other states, they're just not that expensive, at least when it comes to hemp specifically. Another one is product restrictions. Now this bill talks about the types of products that could be restricted. Prohibits consumable hemp products containing any cannabinoids other than CBD, CBG, or Delta-9. This is huge, okay? So we sell a lot of different products, right? We sell Delta-8, Delta-9, CBD, CBG. Majority of our products, honestly, are the categories listed on this bill. What it doesn't talk about are things like CBN, THCV, THCA, which is obviously a big one right now. So whether you are for, against, what have you, I think the idea here is limiting it to only those 3 cannabinoids can be really, in my opinion, detrimental to the industry. This plant is really, really complex. It's very complicated. And when you limit it to only 3 cannabinoids, that can be altered due to time, due to heat, exposure, UV, then you start to get a little bit wishy-washy. It's too restrictive that it's hard to follow, even for people that are following the rules, if that makes sense. So it would limit it again to just CBD, CBG, and Delta-9 THC and get rid of all of the rest. Lastly, this is a big one, which this is a big one, which is age restriction. So essentially, it would officially restrict minors from purchasing anything hemp related. Defines a minor as an individual under 21 years of age, potentially impacting the sales and marketing practices. I would say, honestly, all for it. We don't sell it to people under 21, no matter the product. I want to make sure that only adults, only people that, know and care what they're putting in their bodies are getting this product. At the end of the day, it is a drug, and we need to be very mindful of that.
Very demure, very mindful.
So if you are a parent giving it to your kid, if you're younger dealing with chronic issues, those are different stories. I'm all for that as well. But when it comes to general day-to-day use and someone coming into our shop, just like you ID for other things like prescriptions, alcohol, I feel like it's appropriate. We as a company feel like it's appropriate to be able to ID 21 plus, especially when it comes to THC products. So to close things out, HB28, pretty much the whole goal is to tighten regulations on the hemp industry. Their goal isn't to propose a complete ban by any means, but if you dive even deeper into the bill, they don't want to do it, but it kind of, the way it's written is going to ban a lot of stuff. So right now, as far as updates go, again, as of April 25th, 2025, from what I've heard through the coalition, from what we've heard from other senators, is that they are taking edits on the bill. They do not want to ban it. Back when the hearing was, I believe, 2 weeks ago, over 170 people testified in the state of Texas, business owners, coalition members, farmers, consumers, veterans, majority of them opposing HB28 as written. So because of that, the lawmakers who proposed the bill are like, yeah, actually, this wasn't as good of a bill that we thought, and we need to make some edits, and they're very open to the changes happening. So essentially, we're just twiddling our thumbs, kind of waiting to see what happens. So that being said, I think we've done all we can as far as reaching out to our senators, reaching out to Congress, making sure that our voices are heard. All of it was very impactful. And if you were someone who did that or told your friends or shared any videos with them, it was very, very helpful. And I appreciate you. We appreciate you doing so, because there are power in numbers. And now we just get the opportunity to let all that work do the talking, and we get to sit back and hear and see what actually is implemented, if anything gets implemented. So there will always be more updates. There will always be things going on. As far as important dates go, the last day to submit edits to a bill, I believe, is May 15th, maybe 16th. So right now, as I'm filming this video, it's less than a month for them to accept edits to the bill. And then by June, we're really gonna know what else is going on here. Let's talk SB3, Senate Bill 3. This was honestly, I feel like, one of the biggest ones that people, social media, really hyper-focused on, because it was just so extreme. HB28 was in there, right? But it wasn't even something that was being talked about because SB3 was so extreme. Charles Perry was so for getting this bill passed. And essentially it did pass the Senate. The Senate voted on it and they voted yes to SB3. But the House was like, I don't know about this SB3. This sounds really, really restrictive. And from what I've gathered is the House doesn't want to ban. They don't want to restrict like that. And the Senate tends to want to restrict a little bit more and do pretty much an outright ban. So as far as SB3 goes right now, like I said, the Senate has voted on it. They voted yes. The House has not voted on it. So we're just kind of seeing what happens. Now, how this works and what matters most. because the House has more pull, essentially. So SB3 cannot move forward unless the House votes yes on it. Once they both vote yes on it, then it's presented to the governor, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, if I'm messing this up, I sincerely apologize, but that's just how I'm kind of comprehending all this. But because the House doesn't vote on it, because the House doesn't like it, SB3 is just chilling on the sidelines right now. And we're gonna wait to see what happens with that. Again, it was awesome to get customers, businesses, the coalition really involved and, state their testimonies. I will say when the testimonies were stated for SB3 specifically, it was not the reaction and not the sentiment like HB28 had. So while people were wanting to testify for SB3 against it, the people in the chairs didn't really care as much. And it felt like HB28, at least those lawmakers, senators, House representatives, all truly felt like they really cared, which was very heartfelt and very welcoming for our industry. To make long story short, or short story long, essentially SB3 would pretty much be an outright ban. Like HB28, where they're trying to keep just the 3 cannabinoids, Delta-9, CBD, and CBG, SB3 wants to get rid of Delta-9, only keep CBG and CBD, and would literally get rid of everything else. Now, again, the problem with that though, these cannabinoids, if they're exposed to heat, if they just sit there for a long period of time, what have you, can naturally convert into other things. They could instantly convert into other things. This is a plant we are dealing with that is very, very complex. And so when you limit it to only certain cannabinoids, only isolate products, essentially it's an outright ban. Even if you're the most well-practiced, the best chemist in the world, there's just really no getting around it. So that is also why the House is not really for SB3. That's why a lot of people are up in arms about SB3 and why I personally just do not feel confidence in it passing, which is a good thing. So as far as everything else goes, if you want to keep up with us, I would say definitely follow us on Instagram at Restart CBD. Definitely follow the Texas Hemp Coalition on Instagram as well, because we're always making updates there. And if you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments. We would love to answer them and keep up and keep educated on what's going on, because it obviously affects our livelihood, our employees, and also you, the consumer who is buying from us and supporting us. So without you, we wouldn't be here. And so we're going to keep fighting the good fight. We're going to keep doing our thing, and we're going to stay positive throughout this experience. So I really hope this video was helpful. I hope I explained this in the best way possible without muddling it too much. But if you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. If you enjoyed it also, obviously feel free to subscribe to the channel, and we will see you in the next video. Bye.